Hello, fellow fools and friends. You know why you're here today. You read the video title. I'm gonna do the whole intro thing because that's what you're supposed to do. But you know why you're here. But you are joining today, mostly because of what the title says, but also because you're poor and a glut for punishment. And you maybe thought, oh, this is an easy process. You know what I mean? This is compensating for the fact that I don't have money to have a drawing tablet or an iPad or something to make my model art. Okay? If you don't have money, you have to have skill and willpower, patience, fortitude to get through what we're going to be put through today. Um, Technically, I've already done it twice or like multiple times. I have like 12 incomplete models. Well, okay. I have 11 incomplete models before this model. This is technically my 12th model. There might have been some ones lost, but I'm just going to go with the number 12. But you are here because you don't have a drawing tablet, you don't have an iPad, and you want to learn how to make a model with a mouse. That's my mouse. I don't know if you can hear it. Um, but you're here because you don't necessarily have the most great tools to be doing all of this. You know, I'm really good at the model art part, but I'm not really good at the rigging part. So like you're gonna see my rigs pretty ugly at sometimes. I'm not gonna apologize for that, okay? This is not about how to rig the model. You can rig a model with a mouse pretty easily. It's not that complicated. Most people do anyways. But doing the art, most people don't do their art with a mouse because they don't hate themselves. Well, I'm here. I hate myself, and I have willpower to continue hating myself. So we're going to get into this. We're going to get into this. So without further ado, how to make a model? How to make model art with a mouse. I'm so sorry if you actually follow this. I'm so sorry. You do not deserve the pain you're going to go through. Anyways, ta-da! I'm tiny. I made myself tiny so you can see what is going on behind me. Got it? Okay? Got it. This is not like a weird thing or anything. I'm just smaller now. We're used to this. Okay? But like continuing on. If you're like I, you like a drawing tablet or an iPad, and you have patience, tolerance, and spite, and you want to make a VTuber with only the following tools. I'm waving my hand up and down beside me, but like my model doesn't have rigged hands. So just know I'm doing up and down motion with my hand, and that's why it's wiggling like that, because I'm waving as the tools come onto the screen. Okay? It's gonna come onto the screen behind me. I only learned how to edit videos like 2 weeks ago. But tools. You need pencil, paper, camera, and this camera can literally be anything. It can be your phone camera. If you want to be a VTuber, you probably have a webcam. I've used a webcam. I've used a webcam to take pictures of my traditional art and then do it digitally with a mouse. Were those photos really low fucking quality? Yes, they were. You can also use a scanner if you have one. I have a really old printer that just has a built-in scanner, and I have used my scanner for this just because like it's higher quality, and I have shaky hands, so getting a steady photo is not possible sometimes with my phone camera. You just need something to take photos. You do need a laptop and mouse, as I just mentioned. Drawing software. So this is really important. Whatever you draw in, you want to make sure that you can export as a PSD. Now, if it doesn't export as a PSD, you might be able to export it as various different file types and import it into, because some websites offer that where they're like, oh, we'll take your thing and we'll transform it into a PSD. But I've tried that before with, I can't remember what the issue was, but I was rigging a model for somebody else. Um, and it was not letting me import it. And so I was like, that's weird. So then I had to reopen it in like this weird, slightly sketchy website, I don't know, and it transformed it into a PSD. I mean, actually be open it in Live 2D, but then I realized, oh, it's open in Live 2D, but the colors are messed up. So just make sure your drawing software can export as a PSD. Today I'm going to be showing you Fire Alpaca, which is a free drawing software. There are a lot of drawing softwares out there. Just find one you like, or if you already know how to use one, use that one. I already know how to use Fire Alpaca. I've been using it since, oh my God, I've been using it for a very long time. I've been using it for a very long time. That's all I'm going to say. But it has to be able to export as a PSD, and that's for rigging purposes. You have to be a PSD for it to go into Live 2D and for rigging. This video is not going to be a rigging tutorial. I'm not very good at rigging. You might notice there's some, oh, why is it doing that? Hello, I'm here. I'm here, don't lose me. I have some pretty ugly angles on my model. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really good at rigging. Anyways, but I just followed Meili Wu Fei's tutorial on how to rig. The first ever model I rigged, I didn't follow Meili Wu Fei's tutorial, and it still turned out pretty good because I made it before that tutorial came out. It was like my first or second model I had ever made, and I was using like so many various different tutorials, like mishmashing together. But Merely Wu Face is comprehensive, and it's a video series, and you just follow it, and it's perfect, and that's how I rigged this model. The bad angles are not her fault. The bad angles are my fault. I'm impatient, so I get to the point where I've wasted all my patience on doing the model art, and then I get to here to rigging, and I'm like, this fucking is miserable. It can be ugly. I don't care. Be ugly. Okay. For the most part, I'm looking forward anyways and just chattering. The mouth and the eyes look fine. That's what matters. Gotta keep closing my script. Um, there's an unmentioned tool that's not on this list. You have to have art skills. Well, technically, if you're fine with the model looking however you want the model to look, you don't need art skills. You just have to know what you're going for and what you're drawing. Um, to have this, to have your model look like this, you have to have art skills. Obviously, this is my model in my personal style, so unless you copy my personal style, it's not going to look like this. But like, you have to have art skills, and this just even if you're making a VTuber with a drawing tablet or any other way, you have to have art skills. That's just how that is. Um, sorry guys that I'm not here to teach you art skills. I barely know what I'm doing myself. Okay, sorry. Drawing your creature on a paper. There's a couple different ways to go about drawing this. I'll get to that in a minute. I'm going to talk a little bit about character design. I'm not the best with character design. This is my 12th model. So 11 failed character designs later, I have this one, which I think is pretty cute. You tell me if it's ugly if you think it's ugly. Um, I'm not the best character designer or the best person to teach people how to do that. There's so many different videos that are just general character design, not to mention specific VTuber design. What I've noticed generally though, to have if you want to just like a run-of-the-mill VTuber, that's fine. But a lot of VTubers, and this is like, you hear this mentioned in so many different videos, uniqueness, like your own brand, your own style, like your own vibe. And a lot of people do this in ways where um, they pick kind of like a concept. I've noticed generally it's like two concepts. So there's like a sort of like sometimes it's an animal, sometimes it's a mythological creature concept. And then a lot of times they'll have like a secondary one that's like based more like in their fashion. Or sometimes it's just one concept and they just let that concept color everything. Um, but in my experience, it's kind of a lot of newer ones are using like two. So, in my case, I don't know if it's exactly obvious, but I have I'm a vampire and I'm kind of like a clown or a jester, which was not obvious until I put the mask on. It's not obvious till I do this, but I just thought it'd be cute to wear not the mask. But like, there's cute little teardrops on my little face mask currently. There is obviously the check. Hold on. Let me make myself bigger for you. I keep leaning forward and myself dipping off the top of the screen. But like, the little bat wings for the vampire. I'm like a king. I don't know if that was obvious. Crown fool. I like to play this game with a lot of VTubers and seeing if you can like kind of pinpoint it. Um, like Shy Lily has sort of like a summer bathing suit sailor concept, and then she's also like an orca. But this is like you see this in a lot of different things, or it'll be like, oh, like it's this plus Lolita, or stuff like it's like that's what I'm saying. Like so many have this, and like you don't have to do that. You can do whatever the hell you want. Um, but I always see it's like roughly two concepts, and from what I've seen, it's like a creature or a race or like an animal feature plus like a fashion style, or sometimes that's like there's like a specific like myth they like. Um, you know what I mean? I don't think I explained this very well. This might not end up in the final video. If it does, you're welcome. You're welcome because I'm going to start listing things that I would be cute. Here's some concepts I have done before for myself. All of them have clown on them. All of them have clown. But I had like lion tamer clown, and it was like a lion, like a little lion person, but like a clown slash so like the lion tamer became clown. It was complicated. I didn't use it. I had like an eldritch, like four-eyed creature as my first model. It was also clown, jester themed. I've done Fae, which makes sense. That was just too cluttered. I've done a unicorn, a snake, and obviously vampire is the final one because I got back into some stuff. What actually kind of happened was posted on YouTube was I think it's the Russian ballet's version of Bram Stoker's Dracula, but ballet, and it was really great to watch. And I watched it and I was like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I have to pivot. I also did Kitsune's one as well. Kitsune X clown. Um, but I have some concepts that I think would be cute, that I think would be fun. Um, Fairy K Fairy would be funny. Um, Sweet Lolita Zombie because I just imagine like cute little sweets and then like a little brain all on a little plate together, and it'd be very cute. Um, oh, I have another one. I think it'd be funny if you like combine a European traditional night with like punk fashion. I think that'd be fun. I think that'd be cute. You're gonna fuck up multiple times before you get to a design you actually like. Um, I recommend practicing with your sketches and testing out different designs before you start doing the digital art, or you're gonna end up like me, where you have 12 half finished, 11 half finished VTuber models art, or ones that are like 95% done and you actually rigged them and you didn't like them, so you decided to throw them away. Um, it's fine. It's fine. I did this to myself. I'm a perfectionist. So you're gonna fail the first couple of times. Hopefully you don't fail 11 times. Hopefully you're not crazy, but it's gonna happen. But I'm gonna put in a little montage. I'm gonna put a cute little montage. I'm gonna make myself small again. Bye. No, I'm kidding. I'm back here. Um, I'm gonna do a little bit of a montage of some of my previous models, not previous models, some of my previous concepts, sketches, so you can kind of understand that this is a process. This is a work. This is a hellish, miserable, mind-numbing process designing a VTuber. You might also notice that a lot of the parts on my current model are stuff that I've stolen from other models, from previous designs. Not other people's models, but other models that were mine that I stole the designs from. That makes sense. I promise I'm not a thief. Um, by the way, you're going to end up with a drawing or sketch of your model. I have a drawing or sketch of this model. I'm going to try to find it and put it on the screen right now. If I find it, it'll be here. If I don't find it, I'm sorry. We'll move on. And then this is where you can start to branch a little. Oh, yeah, I forgot to get into drawing your model. How you draw your model. So you can draw your model like you would just draw traditional. So you just draw everything on top of each other. You're not even going to worry about separating and cutting till later, or because you're just going to use it for a reference. Or I've done it before, and I'll put it up here. I've done it paper doll style. And that's kind of how the hair on my current model is. I did it sort of paper doll style. So mine is a combo of drawing everything on the same layer, but also paper doll style. And you can do that for the clothing too. Like one of the lion models had really complex clothing, so paper doll, clearly. Or you can just draw it on top. It just kind of depends on what you want to do because you can either, do the line art traditionally and actually use the line art, your actual traditional line art for the model, for the entire model, and I've done that before. Um, or you can just use your sketch as a reference and painstakingly, with some of the tools and your mouse, do the line art and draw it all split up as you would. Um, there's a lot of different ways to do it. It's kind of complicated to explain without showing you, so I'm going to show you a couple things what I mean. So, getting started, drawing your model, coloring your model, and then just cutting it up and using your traditional line art for your actual model. I've done that for two different models. One of them I've rigged, and the other one I didn't rig. One of them I did not rig because I realized, oh wow, looks bad. This looks bad. The other one I did rig, and that was only a half body model because it's hard to have it look high quality and high res if you're scanning your traditional line art, if you're not drawing it massive. If you're not drawing massive. And I was drawing a half model on an 8.5 by 11 because that's the size of my scanner. Um, Same thing, if you're going to use your actual line art for the actual model's line art, you're going to want to probably a high quality photos you can get or a scanner. But it didn't look good. And then while I was rigging, it was actually really difficult because I had done some cleaning up and I did all the cutting and the cleaning up inside of Fire Alpaca, but that still wasn't making up for some of the weird lines that I had done traditionally. It was still looking a little bit odd, so it wasn't perfect. It just, not to mention, I drew the model ugly. I drew the model ugly. You'll see it later. I'll tell you. I say, this is the ugly model. This is the ugly model. Um, but I recommend doing a mix of both, where you use a little bit of your traditional line art and a little bit of just tracing it painstakingly inside of your drawing software. That's how my hair is traditional line art that I've done myself. That's why it looks ta-da. You can see my hair has very different line art than the rest of my model. And that is totally because of the way it is traditional line art. It is completely line art that I did traditionally. That's why honestly my bangs, there's a little section of my bangs, I'm gonna put a little over pointing at it, where you can see the liner is like kind of fucked up. Kind of messed up. I didn't do the best. I started giving up halfway through because look at this, look at this, look at this nonsense. This is a lot. This is a lot of line art. This is a lot of micron usage. The rest of my model is drawn with moving myself back into the corner. The rest of my model is drawn with digital line art, so it is a lot. It is a lot cleaner. It's better for rigging, specifically for rigging the mouth and the eyes. That's when using your own traditional line art starts to get a little bit complicated, a little bit messy, unless you're doing the paper doll style and you're drawing literally everything separate. Everything separate. And I mean upper lashes, lower lashes, eyelid, eyebrow, sclera, iris, pupil, eye highlights. If you're doing that all separate, you might have an easier time rigging. I was just lazy with the traditional art, but it's a possibility. You can do that. You can do it that way. And I like it that way because my hair, the way I draw hair is very specific to my art style. It really sets like, oh, that's my art. And I've done previous models where I haven't done it this way, and I just am never happy with the hair because I don't think it looks like my style. It looks like I'm copying somebody else. So I've changed it. and I did it this way, and have loved every single model I've done this on a lot more. I keep closing my script. Um, but it is possible to do it either way. Like if you do not want to go through the painstaking process of tracing your line art with a mouse, and there are some tools, and I'm gonna get into some tips and tricks a little bit, and a little bit actually, like soonish, lol. About how you can trace it with a mouse, and it's not as crazy as you think. You don't have to like just like slowly stutter your way through it, and it just looks horrible, and the line art's messy. There are techniques and tools um, that you can use, but I highly recommend looking at your own personal art style and deciding whether you want to do a mix of both, just do one or the other. Beginner friendly would just be honestly tracing the mouse, especially if you're rigging it yourself. Same if you're rigging it for other people. You want your art to, if other people are rigging your model, you want your art to be as crisp as possible. So I would not be making a rigger you're paying suffer through dealing with your traditional art, your traditional line art, and like the nightmare fuel that's going to make, because I rigged my hair and a good chunk of it is skinning, but not all of it is. And it was a pain in the ass because the lines warp a lot with the way I draw hair. You just play around. Obviously, making a VTuber is playing around a lot and figuring out what you like and what you don't like. So that's part of it. Um, the perks of me having 12, 11 model arts prior is that I can, see what I like, what I don't like. I've figured it out. Okay, it's a process of figuring it out. Don't be upset if your first model sucks. My first model sucks. You'll see it. I'll show it later at the end of the video. I will show you every single model that I've made art for. Um, and also, I'm going to mention this. I'm going to mention this because you're going to see it in my models at the very end. Because I have had 12 model art priors, I got to steal from my past self. So actually the model before this I thought was going to be my final model, and I do still like the design. I just was like, this is not really that me. I might use because I have a fully colored outfit for it. I might use the outfit as like an alt outfit for this model. Um, I would just have to like reshape it slightly to fit. And then obviously rig it. That sounds like a pain in the ass now that but it just didn't feel like me, so I didn't use it. But did I steal the entire head and the hair? Yes, yes, I did. Did I steal a lot of parts from it? Yes, I did. Did I do it all with a mouse and it's my own art? Yes. But I did steal from my past self. So we're going to get to some tips and tricks now. A lot of my tips and tricks are slightly specific to Fire Alpaca. Some of them are tools that I know do exist in other drawing softwares. You just have to know your drawing software. Um, Obviously, you need to know your drawing software because chances are you're doing something the hard way and there's a way easier way to do it. Like for 2 years, no, honestly, more than 2 years, like 4 years of me using Fire Alpaca, I didn't know the select foreground color tool. So anytime I wanted to recolor anything, I was just making like a clipping mask, or I would painstakingly go in with a paint bucket tool and do it manually. And then I found out about that tool and I was like, you're kidding me. Hours lost, hours lost, hours lost, hours lost, hours lost to this. Anyway, so know your drawing software. So I'm going to get started with some tools using the symmetry tool. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows this. Use your symmetry tool. Most live 2D models are mostly symmetrical. Oh my god, there's a hole in my model. What? Anyways, distractions aside, what was I talking about? Knowing your drawing software, tips and tricks. I got this. I got this under control. Using the symmetry tool. This applies to making a VTuber, whether using a mouse or not. Find your symmetry tool, figure out how to use it, draw stuff symmetrically. Obviously, you can have asymmetrical elements on your model. I obviously have a lot of them because I think it brings visual interest. Genshin style, lol. But a lot like the face, eyes, mouth, nose, ears, you want that all to be symmetrical. It makes it easier for rigging. Whether you're rigging yourself or you're paying someone else to rig it, you want it to be symmetrical because they can essentially also use the symmetry tool for transforming the model and angles. They can um like I think it's like reflect essentially the motion. I don't remember the exact name of the tool. I've used it myself, I just don't remember. But use your symmetry tool. I'm sure I put a little demo behind my head of me using the symmetry tool. Using the line and curve tool, and also the shape tool to an extent. So Fire Alpaca has this. I know the Adobe suite has it. I think Adobe Illustrator has it, and some of the other ones might. But essentially, the line tool is you click and drag, and it. Oh, whoopsie. Essentially, the line tool is you click and drag on anything, and it makes you a straight line. And you can hit Shift, and it makes it, perfectly horizontal, vertical, or 45-degree. But you can also just make a straight line. The curve tool is a little bit more complicated to use. I recommend playing around with it to figure out, how it works. But it does make making organic shapes or curves a lot smoother. Like I tend to use my curve tool on the eyes and on my jawline. And in a lot of places, I use and abuse that curve tool because there's only a couple places where I want to like manually draw with the mouse, like dragging my mouse back and forth, where it looks better than using a curve tool. And that's just because I've used a mouse for such a long time for digital art. I have a more stable hand. Um, if you're a beginner and you don't know what you're doing, you know what you're doing. But you can just use the curve tool. You just click, hold, and it does the whole curve thing for you. And you have to play with it to kind of understand, oh, do it this way to get a more tight curve, or this way to do a more loose curve. Um, Something to play with, but I use it all the time. Same with using shape tools. If your model has a square, use a square tool. If your model has a circle, use a circle tool. If your model has a rectangle, use a rectangle. Easy. My earrings are the oval tool. The earrings are an oval tool. Pretty straightforward. Um, Custom brushes. I will be fully, completely blank and honest. Make myself big again. The 2 bits of lace on my corset and my pearls and my bow are custom brushes. They are custom brushes. To an extent, my little my little cloak thing that goes around my shoulders and like dips around my back, that is also a custom brush. It's called the Sea Urchin brush. I've just used it to create the like fuzzy shape around the edges. That's a custom tool. Custom brushes, you know what I mean? Use them, use them. You might notice, I'm gonna make myself massive. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. To prove my point. To prove my point, I'm making myself large. Oh my god, it's so low. Hold on. Shush, 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 shush. You can kind of see it. I might just insert a picture. But this is fun. This is funny. Um, you see, I did use the pearl tool, but the pearl tool, oh my god, I'm gonna make myself tiny again. Hello. It's popping in and out of frame, nauseating. Ta-da. The pearl tool doesn't have line art around it, and a lot of different custom brushes, their line art does not match your line art. So I like to go in and painstakingly trace over it and add the line art that is on my model so that it matches with my model. This is like having artistic integrity though. Like if you're using the brush, don't lie and be like, I did this myself. Can I theoretically draw lace and ruffles and pearls myself? Yes. Was it quicker to do it this way? Yes. But I'm not gonna lie and say that I did that myself and I'm just like that amazing and cool. I'm not. I'm not that cool. Um, it's a tip and trick of using digital art. Use your tools in front of you, but don't lie about what you did and what your tools did. Um, so it's just me being honest about it. And we're getting into another thing about that has to do a lot with artistic integrity. Tracing your photos of your own things in art. Um, on various different models, I'm really bad at drawing feet, so I will just take a picture of one of my shoes, mesh transform it, and like mush it around so it like fits the style a little bit, makes it fit the actual what I'm drawing, and I'll just trace over it. The crown on my head, picture of a toy. Picture of a toy that was in my house. I obviously edited it, add the stuff on type, and I've changed it slightly, modified it. Um, make sure you own that stuff you own. Don't like take somebody else's photo. There's like copyright issues with that. I also have, not for this model, but for other models, I've been like, wow, my reference's eyeballs are ugly. I'm going to take an older drawing of mine where I like the face better, and I'm going to put it on there and use that face. Um, my teeth, every single time I've made a model, I've only ever drawn one set of teeth. The only thing I've changed is for this model, I made the fangs slightly longer. So you can tell. I don't like drawing teeth. I don't like drawing teeth. It's not a fan favorite of mine. It always looks creepy, so I don't do it. Um, like have integrity. Say, hey, this is what I've done, this is what I'm doing. If you use all those tools and everything still looks a little janky, maybe the proportions are off, maybe stuff are weird. You have a transform tool. You might have a mesh transform tool like Fire Alpaca. You might have a liquify tool. You might have a transform tool where you just kind of like can resize and rotate. Use those. I've done that on my face and my torso for this model, and also for the little chibi model I made. I used it like constantly for the torso and the face as well because it just wasn't looking right and I had to fix it. Luckily, in Fire Alpaca, the mesh transform tool has a bilateral symmetry tool. So when you're mesh transforming one side, it makes it all symmetrical and you don't have to like mess with it. Um, I don't know if other liquify tools like that have that or anything, but it's just something to think about. Oh, use transformation tools. Use the tools you're available to you. That applies to a lot of the things. The Japanese pattern tool in Fire Alpaca is how I made the stripes and the check on my model without having to draw that manually. It has obviously stripes and checkerboard, but it also has a couple, the title suggests, traditional Japanese patterns, and you can use it if you know your model's Japanese. But oh my God, what did it just do? Hello? Are you okay? I think it's okay. I think it's fine. Um, use it. If that works for your model, use it. In my case, it works for my model. Stabilizer. This is kind of hard to explain, but there are a couple places on your model where you want to hand draw. Like for the eyes, I like to do my mouse and just like painstakingly go super slow and drag it and make it nice. Same for the mouth. It just always looks a little bit more natural and a bit better to me. So that's what a stapler does. So I'm gonna put a little demo in the back about how a stabilizer works, showcasing how without a stabilizer, you can still get a pretty smooth line if you take your time, but a stabilizer just makes it smoother. What are you chewing behind me? Are you chewing plastic? Wait, rescuing a cat from killing themselves by eating plastic today. Uh, I need to get my Dr. Pepper. God damn it. Okay, we're good. Stapler tool does a lot. Okay, you can adjust it. I've noticed on higher settings that it um it makes it harder for you to do tight curves, and it's not impossible sometimes. Um, but it also helps with like using the line tool. Sometimes it will not allow the brush to do post processing. So that's where if you have a tool that like fades in and out on either end, if you use a line tool or the curve tool, it doesn't let it do that because the line tool and the curve tool are doing the post processing already and they kind of fight with each other, I think is how that works. I don't know exactly how it's coded in Fire Alpaca, but that's what it does for me. So that's why it's sometimes better to use the stabilizer than the curve tool or the line tool. Because I love a pen fade in and out to do the eyes and get like nice smooth lashes. Um, honestly, honestly, a lot of this is just tips and tricks that I know, but there's probably more out there. If you think something is hard to do with a mouse, chances are a tool or feature can be used either in the intended purpose or in a unique way to make your life easier and make the model art easier. Know your drawing software, play around with your drawing software, figure it out. Um, and you'll just figure it out as you go. Making this model with a mouse is something you can try and figure out yourself. Um, some of you might not believe me that I made this with a mouse. I might insert a video of me doing I don't know if I have any No, I don't have any recordings of me making. Might have recorded a little bit of me drawing my chibi with a mouse, but I don't think I did. But I might have some digital art that I have floating around that I have actual video of me, my hand just doing it. Um, and I might put that in here so you can kind of see that I'm not fibbing. I did do this with a mouse and using all of the tools that I've mentioned. I don't know why the fuck anybody would fib about that. Yeah, guys, I just like essentially performed mental harm to myself, and I'm gonna make you guys do the same thing by telling you this is something you can do. That doesn't make sense. But I think that's everything I need to mention. Obviously, I'm sure other people have greater methods or better tools and stuff. A lot of this is just brute forcing it till it looks pretty. But we go to the video part of the video where I'm going to showcase some previous models that I've made, all of them with a mouse and a laptop, and the aforementioned taking a picture of your traditional art and tracing over it. You know, it's painstaking and it's miserable, but you can do it. You can do it. I've done it multiple times. Um, So without further ado, you're gonna see some previous models, and I'm probably gonna chime in every once in a while and be like, "God, this one sucked badly." You know, as I do. I have to talk shit about myself. Nobody else is gonna do it. They're too polite. God, I hope people aren't polite. I would love to know if people think my model's ugly. Yeah, guys, can I get some art critique so I don't have to like post on like Reddit for help or something? What is it doing? It just like completely lost tracking for a second. I don't know. Um, Now, yep, I'm giving up now. I'm giving up recording because it just keeps losing tracking. God damn it. All right. That's a wrap, people. I do have another video on my channel making actually like a full entire model art, just kind of like sped up. And there, I like cut out a couple parts, but that's like the chibi model I'm working on. I'm gonna show that off in a second, but I wanted to show off my toggles really quick. Just like I'm gonna talk you through them because I did show it off in the showcase, but I realized afterwards, like, go ahead and just let me go ahead and pop in here. So let's just get started. This is my first toggle. Obviously, it turns my mask on, turns on my little clown mask, and you can lean in close. You can see me blinking underneath it, and you can see my mouth moving. Very cute, very demure. And then I have a second toggle to make my hair short. It's less motion, but it's actually very cute. I like it. And then I have a toggle to take off my actual face mask, like the little veil situation I have. Um, I built this toggle in case I talk about something serious, and I was like, I don't want my model's chest out, so I was just like, "Mm, we can do that. We can do that. We can do that." So I have just a little pillow, and then oh, what toggle am I hitting? So it just comes up and down. Um, and then I have what I call my pour toggle, where I strip every single accessory off the top half of my model except for my little hair flowers, because I think it's funny. I can also have short hair with the pour toggle. It's literally called the pour toggle with like multiple O's inside of my thing. And I can also have my mask on with it too. Dee 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 dee. The mask was a last minute addition. So sometimes when I turn my head, it's not the best looking. And actually, when I go look up and I look down, you can see my hairline clips over the mask. So, whoopsie. But those are my toggles. That does kind of wrap up my video. It's not that good of a tutorial, honestly, but I just wanted people to know this is possible. This is a fun, unique way to make a model if you have patience and no will to live. So you'll waste like 2 months working on a model. Because that's how long it took me for like some of the model art that I showcased didn't take me that long. This one took me like 2 months to do. But yeah, that's it. That wraps it up. Anyways, I thought I'd put some bloopers here at the end of me fucking up the script. I had a script, by the way. I had a script, and I literally had to cut out about 15 minutes of me talking, if not more, because I just kept going off script and just chattering. Oh, crap. I'm gonna have to edit out all the curse words. Fuck it. I feel like I need to do my choir warm-ups before I get started because I'm not gonna do them. That's just too fucking stupid. That's really fucking stupid. But like my instinct is like, oh, you're doing a video. You're gonna be talking. You're gonna have to warm up so you don't sound like a fucking idiot. But I am an idiot. So maybe it benefits me to sound stupid. Like I don't know what I'm doing. Where's my fucking script? More comfortable? I have my Dr. Pepper. That's gross. That's horrifying. Remind me not to drink while I'm wearing my model. Hold on, what if I drink from the front? Less gross. I should just get a straw. I should just get a straw. Anyways, well, you thought you were free. You thought we were done. We're not done. There's still a little bit more. There's still a little bit more. I'm sorry. It is not by because I just remembered that I was gonna show off my chibi model really quick. What can you do? My torso's not rigged, so it doesn't move at all. It's literally just neck and head up that I've rigged, and it's not perfect. I think the head angles are better on my chibi, but barely, but barely. But there is a video process of me doing the art for this on whatever on my channel. My God. Anyways, bye for real this time.